I'm going to be demonstrating how to do CPR on an infant. Infant is ages birth till 1. Now, as far as using an AED on an infant, sometimes we can, sometimes we can't. It just depends on the type of AED you have. So you want to go ahead and tell someone to get that AED. You may or may not be able to use it, and you'll be able to tell that by what's on the pads. It will say either 0 to 8 or 1 to 8. If it says 0 to 8, then you can use it on an infant. So go ahead and tell them to get it in case you do have that type. That being said, we're going to go ahead and talk about the process and how we're doing CPR for an infant. Now, when we do CPR on an infant, everything's kind of shrunk down to their size. It's still 30 compressions and 2 breaths, but when we give our compressions, we're giving 2-finger compressions, and when we give our breaths, it's like a quick puff instead of an adult breath that we gave for adult and child. So I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate this process. The first thing we're doing is the same as before. Hey, wake up, tickle the baby's feet, trying to get them to wake up. They're not waking up, so I'm going to go ahead and tell someone to call 911 and someone to get that AED, and go ahead and get that process started. The next thing I am going to do is check for breathing, just like we did before. So I'm going to look at the chest and look at the mouth, see if there's any movement. There isn't any movement. In that time frame, the chest should rise about 2 to 3 times in that 5 to 10 second window. There's no movement, so I'm going to go ahead and start with doing CPR. Now, when I do this, I'm going to make sure I get my hands in the right spot. Put my 2 fingers in the center of the chest. I recommend using your 2 middle fingers, but whatever 2 fingers are next to each other that's comfortable for you. And then take your other hand and tilt the head back. Your hands are going to stay here the whole time when you're doing CPR. You don't move back and forth when you're doing this for an infant. And go ahead and give 30 compressions. 1, 2, 3. 30. After 30 compressions, we're going to give 2 puffs. You leave your 2 fingers here because you're able to feel the chest rise. When you give your breaths, you want to make sure you don't overinflate their lungs though. So just give 2 quick puffs. You don't have to worry about pinching the nose because your mouth is going to cover up their mouth and their nose. So I'm going to go ahead and give 2 quick puffs. Just like that, and then go right back into 30 compressions. After 30 compressions, you're going to go right back into 2 puffs and then continue that cycle until that AED arrives, or until those EMTs arrive and they take over.